haven't played this in a while. I think I need to pick up where I left off here, which is attack the outpost and see if there's another thing other than attacking Zenobia. And that, I have not very many left. I should be finishing within this run or another run.
The island was windswept desert.
I haven't played this in forever. I might be a little off at first until I get used to the combat system again.
Every child could sing verses about the Sky River, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away.
Were all these things the Iblis stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals?
I feel like there was a shortcut back here. And I would be wrong.
Tired of doing that, thought Renato.
Oh, I ran right into him.
Were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late. Smell any better when you're dead.
Oh yeah, the narrator of the smartest comment. A little rusty at this.
Through his armor. Oh dear, that wasn't good.
Maybe I'll get all the passages done. Or I might make this a longer broadcast and finish it. So I only have like 6 left, I believe. Free home.
There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People were so much cleverer now. And Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people. coming back to him. He wondered what he'd remember next.
How not to catch on fire? That might be a good thing to remember next.
The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders.
Broke you in bones. Getting to the end of this game for sure. I almost had everything at this point.
It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, it was the stone. Eager, thirsty. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch.
Yeah, I
But they
haven't
had
chosen
been
that
close
way yet,
once,
but I still have one
And he had a
more
sneaking
down
suspicion
other
the gem would
paths to
try to
go.
control him.
Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. Said the stone anxiously.
But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
The stone bothered him.
I have to go this way for core, then I need to go attack the outpost, and then I need to figure out what the thing is other than Zenobia. To meet the Znip with one ending. Then I have to play through this again for the other ending ways.
The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling of regret. It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at Swordfu school together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one. No. Kill Zenobia, whispered the stone. There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
Renato hoped the other end of this portal wasn't suspended over the abyss.
The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm. You're weak, whispered the stone. The core will kill you. Are you afraid of it? Don't be ridiculous. It chuckled. But it's unstable. It will poison you if so much as carry it, and then if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically. Renato did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards. approached the core, the stone became hysterical. He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he?
In this choice, not very wise.
As the Farfarer sailed toward...
The Nexus was infested with Raven, but that didn't bother Reynardo. With each death, the converted Iblis stone in his gauntlets glowed brighter, and he felt stronger. Wow.
He was getting a bit bloodthirsty, wasn't he?
Well, he wasn't. He was a warrior. They're supposed to be bloodthirsty.
I need to know. Hopefully this is a shortcut. If not, I know for next time not to go this way. Wrong way, so this way.
The core, absorbed in the stone, was doing its job perfectly. Reynardo could feel a little eldritch jolt every time he downed a Raven, but then it flowed into the glowing stone the way water flows down a riverbed. It all felt perfectly natural, as if all his life, this was what he had been meant to do. Reynardo tore through the last remaining guards at the outpost like hot coffee through snow. There was a Farspeaker Toad here. He called the... and she was. She wanted him to come back to base. They had plans to discuss and a medal to give him. A large, golden medal. Great, said Reynardo. Let's talk about who else I can kill. Then the Farspeaker croaked again.
Hello, Reynardo,
it said.
If you get sick of slaughtering second-rate birds in the Nexus, I'm waiting for you in the mountains.
Zenobia. She missed him. She loved him. Once she saw how awesome he'd become, maybe she'd join him. They'd kiss and... Well, if she did refuse for some reason, he was no match for him now. Zenobia was taunting him. No doubt she hoped to lure him into a trap. Well, he was nobody's sucker. Especially not hers. He carried victory in his gauntlet. He would go where the council pointed him.
Descending music, check. Obviously
As
going
he
to
set
have a
foot on
bad
the island,
ending.
Renato felt energized, like when he was hunting or dancing. Then he smelt it, the stench of ravens. It was a good thing he was here too, before they tripped over the secret base. He was really saving the Council Toad's bacon, so to speak. Hypatia had been the first woman who'd ever tried to convince Renato he was smart. He knew he wasn't nearly as clever as he thought he was. But she'd pushed him to think things through. She had a vision of him that was better than his own. The ravens had reduced Ubar to rubble. Renato chuckled at the irony that it was now the secret rebel base. See? Renato was a hero of the revolution. He deserved a medal. Soon, he deserved every medal they had, and hopefully one big medal ceremony in front of everybody with trumpets so everyone could know what he'd accomplished. Say, how are you guys fixed for life insurance? Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. It was on fire. So far, so good.
Let's do this.
Inside the rebel base, Renato was invited to the council speaker's private chambers. So, this is the Iblis Stone? He said. I can feel its power. Renato told her how he had fed the core to the stone and made something even more useful than either. Crazy like a fox, she croaked. And Renato chuckled as if he'd never heard the joke before. We've given you the best quarters and a bottle of Tantalonian firewater, all for you. So they'd remembered. He woke in the morning with the sweetest of hangovers. But the Iblis Stone was gone from his gauntlet. The corridors were empty, except for a few rebels who looked just as hungover as him. Come on, you'll miss the battle, they yelled. Renato added sail as the Farfarer scudded across the sky. Who could have taken the Iblis Stone? Was it some Imperial spy? He would find him, and kill him, and take the stone back.
Someone's power hungry. Wonder if this is the last Nardo one. Or no. Crap,
Reynardo
rabbit.
had a bad taste in his mouth. He was killing ravens, but it wasn't fun. It felt like a chore. Oh, Reynardo hated chores. As a fox kid, he'd gone hungry in his room. He still didn't clean his room, he just moved house every few years. Who had the Iblastone anyway? Up ahead, he could hear screaming and croaking and cawing. But who was winning?
None of them are winning. I didn't realize I was level, I think that's at 35. Either that or it was 15.
Going spectacularly well, thought Reynardo. As he ran forward, Reynardo noticed that some ravens were starting to ignore him. Just running away. Who were they running from? Some hero of the revolution? If some other so-called hero of the revolution had the stone and tried to take his victory and his medals, Reynardo was going to be seriously pissed off. He was the hero, not some other bozo.
Of course.
Hey, goodbye.
That would have been my favorite part to record. Who has the Iblastone? I think I'm going to choose the other natural way, which is to go just kill her.
Finally, Reynardo came to the Emperor's ship. Zenobia lay dead in front of it. The ship was a wreck. Ravens lay dead, sprawled everywhere. Bloody feathers spattered across the deck and the dock. The council speaker came out. She was waving a sword around like a flag. "Look at me, Reynardo!" she croaked. The Iblis stone on the sword was black as coal. "Now I will be Empress, and all shall tremble before me," she croaked. So the stone had her. It was in her brain, whining for blood. "I'm afraid I can't allow that," said Reynardo, and moved to fight her. Toads are not usually good with swords. Something about the footwork. And the council speaker was not even a warrior. She was always tripping over things, which is quite an impressive achievement when you're a toad. Yet somehow, she was pressing Reynardo backwards as he desperately tried to keep her sword away from his throat. "Look, why don't you keep the stone?" he asked. "You deserve it." "Blood and souls for Iblis," she croaked. "Blood and souls." She got under his guard with her sword. It was just the tip. But sometimes just the tip is enough. He could feel his soul being sucked into the stone. As he died, he felt embarrassed more than anything else. Again? But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way. What was the best, worst mistake he could make?
I'm not going
Probably
for the best worst
trusting
mistake
that
yet.
traitor Lapino.
So I have one more Lupino ending, I have one more girl ending, and 2 more Iblis Stone endings. So 4 endings and then the real ending.
The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. Faster than before, and he fell. The clouds
There's 2
parted
options,
over the
and
Isles of
probably
Boreas.
2 options underneath.
It was
that, and
time
that would
to
be
choose.
Exactly what I need.
The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were
If
scouting
not,
for
there's
the
going to
secret
be
rebel
some
base.
dead end endings. over
They
here that
needed a
don't
game changer.
Give me anything.
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Reynardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there.
Sadly, this time I'm going to have to
It
do
was a
this
dangerous
movie.
artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe use it to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Reynardo had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage. The island...
Let's get this over with. If I can get these 4 and get the last one in. Honestly, I think I can finish this within an hour or 2, maybe. Depends on how much story I have to go through, which is a lot, probably.
Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away.
Were all these things the Iblis stone? Long hidden in a buried temple. Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now. Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals.
I feel like it's more just luck that they came up.
Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late.
trying to find the fastest ways through this area.
Wait, what? How was he outside? Hadn't he taken an elevator into the depths of the earth?
So this time they actually brought up that fact. This temple never made any sense.
Good thing I don't have to clean up around here, you thought? There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People were so much cleverer then. And Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people. The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders.
Aren't you technically a Tomb Raider, though? It's only able to deal with stupid ones that aren't controlled by an outside source of the player.
Renato was no physicist, but he could have sworn something was wrong with the trajectory of these cannonballs.
Yeah, it was too close to your face.
Stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. It was the stone.
Kill the Emperor's daughter and I'll make you Emperor. Fine. Alright, every time I die for some reason or another. Mostly it's my fault.
Seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once,
And he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him.
why not capture the core of Skyripper instead? It was
I
the
gotta
eye of a
go,
lost
you know,
god
yeah,
to
then
turn
I
out
gotta
the
go wander
transcendent
off
emperor
into the
to power
desert.
his greatest weapon. What's the core? Said the stone anxiously.
I might only be able
Even
to get
though
the
Renato
Lamino
knew
end
how
at the
evil
end.
the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Sorry.
Why was he listening to a talking rock? Ah, but the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old Toad had sought for himself.
To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes. Especially
So basically
when
everyone
they
you
become
know.
enemies.
I'm actually kind of concerned on how this is going to turn out. I feel like there's going to be a bad ending really quickly.
As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Renato had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun.
Was it the time of the lost gods before the transcendent emperor? Was it the future? Feed the souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls, its thirst for blood.
All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting.
For me, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have an evil runner. Feed your lover to the Iblistorm.
I'm just trying to teach you how to fly.
The ravens on Zenobia's island were no match for
level
Renato.
35.
They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him. Renato could feel the burn. He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he?
He very much can, and he probably will.
Zenobia was waiting for Renato. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws. Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled. She spotted the stone and bolted without another word.
Of course. Level 36.
Finally, Renato caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. Kill her, whispered the stone. You cannot win your rebellion without it. Please. No, said Zenobia. Not that way. Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her stone... Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be?
Morals. I'm going to go with what I would do.
Renato hesitated. Zenobia was his greatest enemy. She was the Emperor's daughter and his greatest general. And the single person Renato least wanted to remove from this world. Especially that way. She was holding her arms out before her, hands fluttering, fending him off with hopeless urgency. Nope. She was weaving a spell. He couldn't move. This thing is evil, she said. She slid the Iblistone out of its slot in his gauntlet and slipped it into a bag. Maybe we can learn from it. She eyed him with a strange, wry, apologetic look. I missed you too. And before he could move again, she was gone. Learn from the Iblistone? What did that mean? Would she take it to the palace or to the observatory on the Nexus? If she thought it was evil, she wouldn't want it in the palace. And, after all, it was evil, wasn't it? Maybe I can outrace her to the observatory, thought Renato. Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer.
This isn't going to end well. None of this ends well, ever. As long as I only have to run through the rest of the story, I can probably get through these pretty quickly. Not as quick as I hope, but still pretty quickly.
Bernardo felt a little sick. Ever since Zenobia had taken the stone from him, he'd felt an ache that wouldn't go away. He missed it. He wanted it back. He needed it back. Why hadn't he killed her when he had the chance? She was the enemy. He hadn't even seen her in 14 years. Hesitated. You're a sucker for an empowered woman. Bernardo kicked himself. Don't make that mistake again.
Get the obligation back. Okay.
Bernardo had heard stories of a dungeon where chests were filled with potions and weapons. Fairy tales.
Zenobia thought the stone was evil. Was it?
Well, yes, but he still longed to have it back.
He'd felt so good killing ravens with it, and yet he'd felt unclean ever since he'd touched it. She confused him. She'd made him want to be a better fox, and then she'd abandoned him, never telling him she was the Emperor's daughter, never contacting him since. Well, who was she to tell him the stone was evil?
She's just as evil. But two wrongs don't make a right.
Cannon trap. Who doesn't love being shot at by cannons? And who kept these things loaded anyway?
I think I made it to the observatory. Yes, I did. Okay. Is there going to be other nobs waiting for me? Doesn't look like it.
The scientist's toes were pointing arcane instruments at the stone and looking at it through prisms and reflections.
Mine, said Bernardo as he took back the stone.
Well, we need it for science, croaked the toads. So he killed them. He felt better immediately. Smarter, too.
Oh my god.
I thought you'd never come for me.
whispered the stone. Then, a far-speaker toad crowed, and something like Zenobia's voice.
Reynardo, leave the stone with the toads. It will swallow your soul. You'll kill everyone you love.
That did seem vaguely familiar. But Reynardo had an army to lead, an empire to bring down.
I know you can fight this thing.
Zenobia continued in the far-speaker's croak.
You let me live. You know how evil it is. It will destroy you, Reynardo. It will destroy everything you love.
He had tried to convince himself that this time, he would control the Iblis Stone. But he could feel his will becoming brittle. She was right. He would get rid of it. Right? Now. Or now. He didn't really want to. I know. I'll go to the mountains, Reynardo thought. I'll find the strength to do it in the peace and quiet there. As the Farfarer landed at the foot of the mountain...
expected. I'm going to have to... Why is Lupino here? I'm just gonna skip the important story. I'm gonna take a small peek after. After I finish this and take my break, I'm gonna come back and actually sit down and finish it. This has been probably one of the best games that I've played in a while that are like single player. But I haven't played a lot of single players lately, to be honest. Surprisingly, this has some dark themes for having such childish art. Wait, why?
Reynardo told his friend how he had slaughtered the toads, and how he had nearly slain Zenobia.
Oh, this is Leonardo.
Sympathized the rabbit. Yeah, but I need it for the rebellion. Do you now? You know, you were a pretty fine fighter before you were wielding a demonic decoration. Oddly, the sword wasn't whispering at him to kill Lupino. Up ahead in the mountains, there was a peaceful spot. If he could rid himself of his burden anywhere, it was there.
This is the last Lupino ending. I'm 95% sure it is. Because why else will Lupino be following me? Doing farther seems to help because I can kick a lot of these people off.
Hey, you guys ever learn to swing dance? Oh, well, too late. thought he would make a difference, snatching the Iblistone before the Emperor could get it. And it would destroy him. Zenobia and Lupino, they were both trying to save him. Peace. That was what he needed. So much for peace and quiet. There was Lupino. Again. You're stronger than some dumb rock, Lupino said. Let's just bury it, and no one will ever find it again. Bernardo could feel the spirit energy of all those dead ravens inside him, pecking away. The rabbit was right. Even if the rabbit was a traitor, he was still right. He tore the Iblistone from his gauntlet and threw it into the hole Lupino had dug. The stone was silent. Probably sulking. Now whoop those Imperials, said Lupino. Are you coming? Ah, no, I can't come with you. It's my old injury, you know. Recently, it's been acting up terrible. I'd be no use to you at all. So Reynardo boarded the Farfarer alone. Reynardo felt lonely on board the Farfarer. How could his old friend Lupino, miraculously escaped from the Empire, leave him to face the final battle alone? Well, he'd abandoned Lupino before, hadn't he? It was only fair. And of course he felt lonely. He'd given up the Iblistone and all the souls he feted. Of course he felt alone. But he had done the right thing. It had been hard to do, but there was no better feeling than that. Zenobia would be so proud of him.
So we've had the counselor go crazy from the stone. We've had the girl go crazy from the stone. Why wouldn't Lupino now go crazy from the stone? Hopefully Lupino's didn't get anything.
The battle, alas, was not going well. He no longer had the stone, and he'd never gotten the core. Lupino wasn't with him, and he was up against Zenobia, out there somewhere, maneuvering the Emperor's forces. The rebels had been outnumbered from the start, and he still had that aching longing for the stone. But that is what it means to be a hero. He would fight his way to Zenobia. He would show her what he was capable of. Just him, with no diabolic accoutrements. He would win, no matter the odds. Yes, that was it. Pirouette, slash, parry, dodge. Reynardo had never done such good work in a fight. He wished the poets were on to sing of his exploits for his old age. Maybe he wouldn't have to kill Zenobia. Maybe he could defeat her and take her prisoner. Then he could turn the tide against the Emperor. If she wasn't crowned princess, once this was all over, she'd have more time for him, right? Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Again. This time, he'd make an end of it. He'd screwed up last time, but he had a good feeling about this time.
Last section done, and then I will stop it for a little and pick it back up in like half an hour to an hour.
Miracle. Renato fought his way to the Emperor's ship. He was exhausted, bleeding, but he'd found the strength to reject the stone. Zenobia came out of the ship. "Renato!" she shouted, and then she fell down and died. Lapino was behind her, wielding a sword that seemed to suck all the light out of the sun. "You idiot! You threw the stone away!" cried Lapino. "You said it was evil." "It hates sanctimonious prigs like you," laughed Lapino. "We're having a grand old time." Renato turned and ran. But no matter where he ran, Lapino jumped in front of him until Renato was cornered. That boy could hop. "You wouldn't do this to an old friend, would you?" cried Renato. "You mean this?" said Lapino, as he slid the sword into Renato's guts. "Damn it! Again?" "Oh, again?" But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure
Yeah,
of that.
the piano.
He must have not used them the right way. What was the worst mistake he could make?
So now I
Probably
have 3
trusting that
endings
traitor
and like 8
Lapino.
options. That's the problem. I might touch that I have a way to solve it one, but now I'll finish this one first. Well, I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to go take a small break.